Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. This is our first show of 2015. It's episode 31, and I am Chris, your host. And with me tonight, as usual, are Dean.
Actually, I prefer to go by Johnny Butt Sniffer.
Dan.
JBS?
Yes, JBS.
JBSD. All right. Good evening, everyone.
And Tiff.
I'm not actually with you, as always. This is a hologram.
An audio hologram?
I don't really think that changes. Yeah, that doesn't change anything.
Who will know?
We will, and that's the point.
All right. Well, like I said before, this is the first show of 2015, so we're going to do our usual look back on our favorite games of the month, but we're also going to do a quick little game of the year. Actually, the games of the month are going to be quick, and the games of the year were going to be the primary chunk after we hit the break. So before we jump into anything, I need to address something really quickly.
Please tell me it's the fact that you have failed your New Year's resolution before the fucking New Year even started?
My New Year's resolution has been called into question.
You're goddamn right it has.
I'd like an opportunity to defend myself. My New Year's resolution was to not go crazy with amiibos, all right?
You got
Now,
6 in one day. I would say that was a little crazy.
I didn't buy those.
That's true. He did not
These
buy
were
them.
gifts. So, in all encompassing, as of right now, there are 29 announced amiibos. At most, the highest number of amiibos, of announced amiibos that I will own is 14.
That seems a little crazy.
That seems like a goddamn lie.
Going crazy would be buying all of them. Going insane would be buying 2 of all of them so I could open one and leave other ones in the packaging.
Oh, okay. Perhaps you should have been more specific in your.
Yeah, but that idea passed your mind.
Oh, that idea did pass my mind, which is why I'm proud of myself for not having done it. You guys know me. You guys know the level of crazy that I am. I think for what these things are, I am doing a remarkably good job of not buying all of them. I'm limiting myself to one, representative per franchise. Like, I have Mario, which means I'm not getting Peach, Luigi, Bowser, or anybody else really, Yoshi even. I have Donkey Kong, so I'm not getting Diddy Kong. You know what I mean? I'm sticking to one representative from each franchise. So I have...
So, whoa. Hold on. You have Kirby.
I do.
You're not getting King Dedede?
I am not.
You're a goddamn liar.
I'm
do not
getting
believe
him.
you for a second.
I returned a Yoshi amiibo that I got for Christmas and exchanged it for, I think it was the Samus amiibo.
Bro,
because
you should have gone with Luigi, man. Mario?
It's Mario, man. And plus the Luigi one's kind of lame. He's doing that weird planking thing. It's just,
Dude, if he was in a go-kart being angry, you'd buy it in a second.
Maybe.
I like the weird planking thing. I thought that was a nice choice for him.
I think it's cool. It doesn't really say Luigi to me. Plus, I also have this... Club Nintendo did this really cool thing a while back of a little Luigi's Mansion diorama thing, which I have, and it's that satisfies my need for a Luigi statue type thing. But I did receive in the mail today from my friend Mauricio a Pit and Little Mac amiibos, and if anybody read my article about the amiibo situation that I wrote, the fact that I finally have a Pit and Little Mac figure in my possession is extraordinarily cool. But that is my addressing of the situation. I feel that I've lived up to my my New Year's resolution so far. It's early yet. It's only January 2nd.
Yeah.
And when the King Dedede amiibo comes out, it's going to be tough for me to walk past it in a store and not buy it. Just like it's tough for me to look at the Yoshi one and not buy it because it's so adorable.
So
He's
if I
so cute.
Bought it for you and put it in front of you, you would not take it?
Okay, how about
here's the
this?
thing. It would break.
Buy me a pizza and I'll buy you the amiibo, and that way you didn't have to buy it.
But see, if I do that, then I've opened the floodgates. Then I have 2 characters from Mario, so now I've broken the rules. If I stick to one representative from each franchise, that's the rigid rule that I stick to, and then I don't need to get any more. The only theoretical other one that could come out from the Smash Brothers line that I would want to buy is Pac-Man. Because I even thought about, wow, what if there was a Rob amiibo? That would be amazing. But I have a Rob. Do I really need a figure of a figure that I have?
A smaller one. A smaller
just-
one that doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, for the absurdity of it, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I did get the Villager amiibo for Christmas, which I'm not going to return because it's rare as crap and it's fascinating. It's really neat to me, but that's not one that I'm opening. I have that one and the Wii Fit trainer kind of set aside because they don't fit with my weird perception of major franchise characters, but I'm a crazy person, obviously. But yes, I wanted to address that. Moving on.
Consider it addressed, sir.
I consider it addressed. Moving on. Let's do our quick round about what we've been playing for the month of December. So why don't we start off with Dan?
Well, I dove into head first and actually managed to finish the story mode of Injustice: Gods Among Us. And this is the DC character fighting game put out by NetherRealm, which are the guys responsible for Mortal Kombat. And it plays very similar to Mortal Kombat minus the fatalities, which means it is fuck nuts crazy. Just every which way till Sunday. Like you're fighting in the Batcave, for example, and you walk over to a set of computers and you tap a button and the Batmobile fires missiles at the other character. One of
Which
Batman's
I believe
special...
you can also do on the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the special moves that again that Batman has is he like does a ninja combo on you, whoops your ass a little bit, and then calls the Batmobile in, and the Batmobile runs you the fuck over.
Oh, what about Aquaman's?
Aquaman
His
is
is
by
the
far
best
the best.
one.
Just a shark eats you like a shark. A shark eats you.
What
Yeah,
is you?
a shark.
A whale.
A seahorse. A seahorse comes in and pecks your nipples. But like it's insane, right? And for some reason it's really fun. Like I enjoyed the shit out of this game. The coolest thing that they do is in the story mode, as your characters are talking to each other, it takes place on the stage that you're going to fight in. So there's no loading screen getting to the fight. It's trash talk, and now we're fighting. Like the camera kind of pans back and the characters are there ready to go, which was just a really kind of cool way of doing it. The version that I had all the downloadable characters, which they're okay. The Scorpion's in there, which is kind of lame. Like there's so many other DC villains that they could have put in, but okay, it's Scorpion.
Like,
I think
just
they
thought
hit
that
the
was
mark
weird.
with Lobo.
Lobo was cool. I liked using Lobo. I liked using a Batgirl. She plays different enough from Batman.
Batgirl makes sense.
She was cool.
Was Martian Manhunter DLC or was he in there to begin with?
No, he was downloadable.
Yeah, he was downloadable.
He's pretty
And
cool.
that makes sense. But I don't know, Zatanna seemed a bit
Well, she's part of the Justice League.
Yeah, she was an odd choice,
But, why
but
not
I mean,
Plastic Man?
as far as like representing magic, I guess I probably would have preferred to have Dr. Fate, but at the same token, it's not bad to have more female representation. And Zatanna, as far as magicians, magic type characters and DC goes, I think she's kind of top tier.
No, she definitely is.
But...
I agree with you. I agree 100% on the Dr. Fate thing. I love me some Dr. Fate and would have loved to seen him in the game, but yeah, it was really cool. Like I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then let's move on. Before I move on, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. I think the game's really cool. I do think that it suffers from the same problem that all NetherRealm's games have, is over animation. Like, nobody even kind of stands still at any point in those games.
No.
Like, they're always
they
just
do
doing
not.
these really absurd gearing up positions. There's just something about the animation style in NetherRealm's games that bothers me, because I love Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. I tolerate Mortal Kombat 3. I think Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is really cool. And like Mortal Kombat Trilogy, all that old school stuff when it was all like digitized graphics, I really love those games. They're super, super fun. MK4 was alright. It was like a great rental for an afternoon. But all the modern ones, for some reason, they seem to play really well, but I don't like the way they look. And that's, since Mortal Kombat, half of Mortal Kombat is looking at it. Half of it is what the crazy shit that's going on. I really need to like the look of it, and for some reason, all their stuff just has kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But, I mean, Injustice is pretty cool. You said you had finished the story mode. How is the story?
The story is actually really cool.
It was a really cool story.
It's Superman in one realm, or one reality, one of the different representations of Earth in the 52 that they have. Superman kills Lois Lane because the Joker tricks him into killing Lois Lane. So, as you can imagine, this makes Superman very angry. And in this reality, Superman kills the Joker and puts the world on lockdown. And says, that's it, I'm fucking in charge. Enough of your shit. Enough, we're done. We're done with this. And he gets, like, the heroes of this reality. Some of them come over to him, like Shazam follows him blindly. Hal Jordan joins up with the Sinestro Corps because he rules through fear now, and like, you know, they don't
they're like his goon squad.
Yeah, they're like, you know, they're like mid-level bosses before you get to the final boss of Superman. So there's a lot of like dimension hopping and reality hopping kind of shit going on.
You just skipped over a whole thing. The Batman of that universe that Superman exists in pulls heroes in from a different universe or dimension or what have you to fight Superman, to help him fight all of the other heroes that are crazy now and to fight Superman. So part of the story is trying to defeat Superman, part of the story is them trying to get back. It's all pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat little story, and it, you know, for a video game, it totally works because they can do the crazy big budget, you know, Superman action movie that everybody wants to see, without actually having to have Warner Brothers screw it up real bad.
Except the worst part about the entire game, and I'm with you on the look of it, Chris, is that for some reason infinity exists within their mouths. They animated the mouths in such a way that when they open their mouth, there's nothing, like the black void comes back. It's very off-putting.
I think I know what you're talking
strange.
about. That is an eerie visual.
Yeah. And really, just the only other thing I had on it is really like the only thing that bothers me about the game is really the only thing that bothers me about all the Mortal Kombat games, and that is the proclivity for them to their special moves to be forward punch or back forward punch, and it just doesn't play nearly as smooth as I want a fighting game to play. It plays well, but not as well as Street Fighter.
Mortal Kombat games will never play as well as Street Fighter, unfortunately, but I think that's because Mortal Kombat games are more gimmicky, while Street Fighter is all about the mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's by design, so it's all very cool. Well, excellent. Hooray for Injustice. Tiff, why don't you go next?
Well, I'm not going to take nearly as long as all that. At the recommendation of our dear Lord of Vests, I have been playing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and it's awesome. It feels to me very much like a remastered or an upscaled old school Donkey Kong game. I really like it. It's very familiar. It's just fun. It's
really charming and really pretty.
Oh my god, I love that game so much.
Amazing. It really does look amazing. It looks as amazing as like the DuckTales remaster. Like I really feel like that's what it is, because there's a lot about this game that's really reminiscent of regular old Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, it looks as good as Donkey Kong did in your imagination when you played it the first time.
That is a very apt description.
I love the little animation touches. I love Cranky Kong bouncing like Scrooge McDuck. I find Dixie Kong to be very, very useful in that game. She's probably the most useful Kong.
The helicopter
the
stuff?
little
I'll
helicopter
agree with that.
increase. Oh god! And then like the silhouette levels are That game has continuously knocked my socks off every time I've played it, and I really need to finish it one of these days. But yeah.
The animation on the fur is really impressive.
And even like just the animations of the way, like I love the weight of DK. Like I love running around as Donkey Kong, and I love the weight of him and the way that he kind of like grabs for the ground when you move, and then you like stop and try to go in another direction. It's so wonderfully animated, and you feel the weight of his character. And I've listened to a couple of shows and read a couple of things where people complain about that weight, that it doesn't control like a Mario game, or even like the old Donkey Kong Country games. And I like that about it. Like, the original Donkey Kong Country, he did have more weight than Mario, but he was a little bit closer to Mario than he is in the Country Returns or, like, the newer Donkey Kong games. And I really like the weight of the new character, so I like that a lot.
Yeah, you can't just turn around.
Yeah, he doesn't stop on a dime because he's an 800-pound gorilla. So.
Yeah, you have to... he has to pivot.
Yeah, I think they did a really, really good job of marrying just enough nostalgia with, really current graphics, current and unique gameplay. Like, I find it very, very familiar, but not at all boring.
I also really like the villains in this game, the penguins and stuff. I think they're adorable, and I think they're way cooler than the Kremlings ever were.
Yeah, it does make my my one daughter very upset because she loves penguins and does not like the fact that I have to jump on a lot of them. It kind of
these
upsets
are mean
her.
Penguins.
I know, but not to a 5-year-old. There's no... Daddy, why are you jumping on the penguins?
They're all mean and evil.
They're trying to hurt me.
I actually, a quick aside, on Christmas with my family, I was showing my sister the Screw Attack Death Battle between Kirby and Majin Buu. And my 6-year-old niece was watching it, and she got really sad every time Kirby got beat up. But she was happy because he won.
Like in that very first level of Tropical Freeze, when the birds have the inner tubes and they're walking like towards the water, yeah. I jumped on a couple of them, and both of my daughters looked at me and they were like, "Daddy, they just want to go swimming. Let them go into the water."
Oh god, that's another thing. I can't go past this game without mentioning the extraordinarily wonderful soundtrack, because they got David Wise back for this game, and he was the one who did the music for the original Donkey Kong Country games, and he's just done an extraordinary job yet again.
It is lovely.
All right, well, good pick, Tiff. I hope you continue to enjoy it, and I hope you get farther than I have, because I've been kind of splitting my time casually between that and Mario 3D World, and my casual time is very limited, so I haven't gotten very far in either of them, but they're both pretty spectacular games. I'll go next. I had Nintendo's Digital Deluxe program was kind of coming to a close, so I cashed in all my points and got myself a little download ticket, and I jumped on the 3DS eShop, and another podcast I listened to, Radio Free Nintendo, they had talked about a game called Whoa Dave, and it's only a couple of bucks, so I had some credit, and I went ahead and downloaded it. And so I downloaded a game called Whoa Dave.
Okay,
and
no spoilers, because that's on the PSN Network for this coming month, and we're getting it too.
Yeah, it'll be free on Tuesday.
There's nothing to spoil. It's a really cool game, but it's an Atari game, basically. It's as complex as an Atari game. And it looks a lot like an Atari game with some neat little extra flourishes you could never do on an Atari, but its visual style, its art direction is supposed to look like an Atari game. And you're just this little dude, who I think is called Dave, I guess, and you run around and pick up what look like Yoshi eggs that hatch and create little other creatures, and then there's skulls that fall down. You can throw the skulls or unhatched eggs out of the things and collect coins, and that's it. And every now and then there's a voice that shows up in the background and says, "Whoa, Dave," and something that looks like the POW block from Super Mario Bros. 2 shows up, except it says "Whoa" on it, and you throw it, and it does what the POW block does. It kills everything and turns them into coins. But it's a single stage that kind of changes a little bit as you go along. It's laid out kind of similar to either Joust or the original Mario Brothers, and you just keep going for a high score. It's a great little pick up and play game. It's very simplistic, but I kind of like that about it. And it took me like maybe a good 5 minutes to really get the hang of it, because it doesn't do anything to explain itself. It's just like plugging in an Atari game you've never played before. It does nothing to explain itself. You just, here you go, figure it out. And I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. It looks awesome. We just watched our preview video yesterday or the day before that shows what the free games are, and it looks really awesome. I'm really excited to play that one.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have to play for a few minutes at a time. Are you guys getting on what you have PS4, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna get it on that, or do you guys have a Vita, or?
Yeah. We'll probably. I don't remember if that one was a cross-buy or not, but definitely on the Vita.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that one. I can't imagine sitting down in front of the television and playing that one. I would, because I'll play anything on a TV, but it's a great portable game. Like, if you're just somewhere you want to kill 2 minutes, turn it on. Whoa, Dave.
It's a bathroom game.
It's a bathroom game, depending on what you're doing.
Whoa, Dave.
You can't play it while shaving. Just saying.
Maybe you can't.
You need to practice more.
I need to be able to shave with my mouth. Anyway, before I think too much about the logistics of shaving with my mouth, Dean, what have you been playing?
I've been playing this game. It was invented a long time ago. It's called Russian Roulette. It's fun. It's good. I've won a lot of times.
Obviously, you've been doing well.
Yeah. Yeah, but besides that, it sucks because when you win, you're all alone at the end, so it's kind of a bummer. But besides that, it's all pretty good.
It's a bunch of one-hit kill, cheap death.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
You only get one life.
Yeah. Yes, as weird as that is.
Permadeath like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, it's not that much fun. But okay, in reality of things, I've been playing Geometry Dash, which is the game I've been playing on arbitrary rules, which has been ruining my life as of late because the game's really, really difficult. It's basically it's one button, you left click, and you go over obstacles and everything, and you're going to the beat of a soundtrack in the back. Problem is that it's like Bit Trip Runner, and while that's a good and a bad thing, for me right now, it's mainly a bad thing. It's incredibly difficult. I'm trying to play it drunk, so there's that.
Is it just like an Impossible Game clone?
You know what? Actually, yes, it is. That's what it's like. It's like the Impossible Game, but it's a bit better than the Impossible Game, because in the Impossible Game only one level.
Yeah, you're just never gonna get to the end.
Yeah,
of
it.
No. There is an end to each level. I believe there's 16 levels total, and I'm on level 3. I also made the promise that if we can't beat the level in 100 attempts, we take a shot, and that's already come dangerously close to happening twice already. So I'm feeling by the end of this series, will be taking multiple shots. But I mean, it's a really cool game. It's a lot of fun. It's very colorful. They actually just introduced a level creator, which is neat, and they made a character editor as well, so you can, edit your little character, change the colors on them, the shapes, and everything. The cool thing is there's multiple sections to the game where one part's just hopping, then it turns into like this sort of what the heck's that game? Helicarrier or whatever, where you press the left mouse button and you
Flappy Bird.
Sort of like that, yeah, a little bit. But it's a lot of fun. I've been having a great time playing it, especially because I'm playing with one of my best friends. But it's been a great game so far. It's a little difficult, and playing it drunk is not easy. Playing it sober is hard enough. Playing it drunk is like almost next to near impossible. But I guess that's what makes it fun to watch.
True.
I liked watching it.
I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you guys liked it.
I poo-pooed your beer choice, but
I saw it's okay. I didn't think you were gonna like it, but
I didn't.
I can't.
Okay,
I can't
you don't.
please everyone.
Yeah, you don't play drinking games with snooty beers.
Whatever. Maybe you don't.
You're right, I don't.
Okay.
I made that pretty clear with my statement just now.
All right. Well, that was fun. All right. That sounds like a very interesting game, and you can see it on Arbitrary Rules, which is through geeklife.com and the YouTubes. So hooray for shameless self-promotion. And on that note, we're going to take ourselves a quick break, and then we're going to come back with our Game of the Year nominations or decisions or whatever, because it's not really a voting process. So
You could have just said Game of the Year.
yeah, well, Games of the Year, because we're all going to have Games of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
JGLD. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody. We enjoyed ourselves. A nice, healthy break. I ate some mashed potatoes. It was a good time. I really did eat mashed potatoes. And they're really tasty. Anyway.
No, I want mashed potatoes.
So go get them. Mashed potatoes for all. All right, it's time for our Game of the Year. So, Game of the Year situations. I still can't word this properly. What the hell's wrong with me? We're going to call these the SAGJGLDs.
Oh.
Dan, what is your SAGJGLD for 2014?
Mine is certainly probably not going to top anyone else's list. But for me, MLB The Show 14 is the best thing I played this year. Like it is the only baseball game that comes out, really. I mean, there's like RBI baseball and a couple like PC chibi looking things, but this is a hardcore baseball simulation made by Sony, and they've been making this game for fucking ever. It was an original like 989 Studios game, and it's just about perfect. I mean, if you are a fan of baseball, it is worth it to buy a PlayStation console for this game. Like, if you're that hardcore into it, it is, first of all, perhaps one of the prettiest games that you will ever see. And I mean that sincerely. They have modeled everything just down to the tiniest little details. I mean, little blades of grass and the way that the specific outfield patterns are mowed in different major league stadiums around the country. And even though I hate the Boston Red Sox with the passion of 1,000 burning suns, they get the Red Sox logo that they mow onto the field just absolutely spot on perfect. All the players have like all their signature stances. The pitchers have their signature windups and all their little idiosyncrasies that make baseball so goddamn weird. Like, most pitchers will not step on the foul lines. If you ever watch a baseball game, most players, but pitchers especially, will jump over the foul line every time as they are walking to and from the mound. and the players do that in the game. Like, they have their home run celebrations and the fireworks that go off and the way the stadiums look and the shadows depending on the different type of day and whether or not it's a cloudy day outside and how that affects the way that you can see the ball out of the pitcher's hand. And just all of this shit is so detailed down to the most absolute minutia of what baseball is. And then you can jump into the without a doubt, the best career simulation mode that there is, which is called Road to the Show. And in it, you start off, you can either put yourself on your favorite team, or you can just enter the draft. You create a player, whatever position you want to play, and you work yourself up to a major league caliber player. You start off in AA, playing in little rinky-dink stadiums in front of like 30 people, and there's training modes where you improve your hitting or your timing or your fielding or whatever, and they're like these little mini games. And as you work, you hit milestones and improve your player, very similar to an RPG. And as you get good enough, you eventually get called up to the major league roster. And it is the best goddamn feeling in the world. Like, because you legitimately earn it. It's not just like, well, I created my player, and look, it's me, and I am a 99 in everything. I'm a 99 as a pitcher, even though I'm a catcher. You know what I mean? Like, you can... It's just, oh god, it's just fantastic.
All right. Wow. Baseball.
Nobody has anything to say about that.
No,
and we're indoor type people.
Well, and like I said, like a baseball game as your game of the year is not something that most people are gonna have. Like, if you read a lot of the publications or websites and shit, like a lot of people's games of the year this year were Dragon Age Inquisition or Destiny, because of course they fucking were. You know what I mean? And Destiny was a great game, and I'm sure Dragon Age is better than the first two Dragon Age games. I don't know that makes it a game of the year. This game, the amount of work and love that goes into this franchise is astonishing.
I'll definitely give props to the show series, because it has been consistently solid for a very long time. Because the baseball games were... there used to be competition in that field before Electronic Arts ruined everything by obtaining the NFL. And then all of a sudden, 2K needed to come back with something, so they tried to buy baseball licensing, but all they could afford was third-party baseball licensing rights. So first parties still had the option to make baseball games.
Yeah.
And that's when Sony really upped their game with MLB. And they were still just numbering them at the time. I don't think it was the show until like 2 or 3 years later, and then they just stuck the name The Show, which was a good thing for them because it kind of distinguished themselves a little bit better. But
yeah, it was like 09 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And funny side story, Nintendo actually did that too. They never released it, but at the one E3 that I went to, they had Nintendo Pennant Chase Baseball for GameCube, which was a first-party MLB baseball game for the GameCube. And it was a perfectly good baseball game, which I think is why they didn't release it, because probably nobody would have bought a perfectly good baseball game because it was on the GameCube and other baseball games existed.
Yeah, and oh god, were those 2K baseball games bad. They were so bad.
They were so bad, and which was a shame because the 2K football games were really good. And then
they were.
EA was just like, nope, Madden's your only option because we have all of the money. And so 2K was forced out of the baseball arena, but then EA was forced out of the they were forced out of the football arena, and then EA was forced out of baseball with their exceptional MVP baseball. And
which
if I
was
remember
excellent.
correctly, yeah, I think a lot of the people that worked on MVP wound up going to the Sony studios and working on the show, but God, they tried to do MVP college baseball the following year,
oh, God, it was
which
so
was
bad.
just sad.
Yeah.
Because, the gameplay was all right, but who the hell cares about college baseball besides college baseball players?
Yeah. The best thing about the MVP college baseball game was the sound of the metal bat.
Oh,
the particular ting that a metal bat makes when hitting a baseball. That was the best thing about that game.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and the smartest thing that Sony has done, starting with this year of the show, which it really just put it over the top for me, is this is the first year in any sports game ever that you can take your franchise and your created player to the next iteration of the game. So
That's sweet.
as I work myself up from an 18-year-old AA player and get to the major leagues, I don't have to now start over when MLB The Show 15 comes out. I can just carry that over and actually have a full MLB career. Which no one does ever, because you can play until you're in like your early 40s. Well, nobody's going to play that much baseball in 1 year. It's just not, there's just not time for it. But this one you can take with you, which is
nobody's
brilliant.
going to not buy next year's version, so they're all going to start over again. Yeah, no, that's a brilliant move, and a bold call on your behalf of calling that your game of the year. I appreciate and approve. So in the interest of time, let's move on. Tiff, what is your game of the year?
My game of the year did not even remotely come out this year, but I am sticking by it, and I have done an episode in the past on this. But I fully feel that it merits two mentions. My favorite game that I played all year was Portal 2. I have talked extensively in the past about the story mode and the gameplay with Portal 2 and how I really feel like it's just a flawless game, and I spent a large portion of my time this year on it. But additionally, I want to talk about the co-op mode, because I really feel one of the things that sets this game apart so much is I really kind of feel like you get two games in one with this, because the actual story that you play through is really completely different from what you then play through with Alice and Peabody. And I really love that it's a couch co-op, and it's also an online co-op. I just think that's awesome. I love being in situations where you have to get violently angry at people that are sitting next to you on the couch because they can't understand what you want them to do with their minds. It just makes it a lot more real for me than just playing with people on the internet. Not that I dislike playing with people on the internet, because I like internet people better than most real life people. However, it's nice to have the option. I'm just hands down. I just think it's such a good game, and really nothing else I played this year topped it.
All right, so your game of the year next year will also be Portal 2.
I am really, really hoping that something comes out this year that can top that, because I really don't want to be done playing video games, but if it doesn't start getting better, I might just have to stick with Portal 2 for the rest of my life.
Well, at least in the meantime, you have Donkey Kong.
That's true. I did enjoy Donkey Kong. Or I am enjoying Donkey Kong.
I was going to say, if you beat that already...
I didn't. I didn't at all.
Impressive.
I started it at the beginning of the podcast, and now I'm done. Really
All
falls
right.
apart in the third act.
Well, I guess I will go next, in keeping in the order that we did the first set of games. I don't know, does anybody have anything to add to Tiffany choosing a game from a couple of years ago for Game of the Year this year?
Portal, yep, great game, puzzle game. Everyone knows about it. Everyone play it. Good, go, done.
All right, for me, my Game of the Year was something I had to think about quite thoroughly, because I narrowed it down to 4 games. The first game that popped into my head was obviously Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is amazing, and I will continue to play that game for years to come, just like I did with Smash Brothers Brawl before it, Melee before that. I love Smash Brothers. It is a phenomenal game. But then I thought about Mario Kart. And Mario Kart 8, I have spent a lot of time playing Mario Kart 8. In fact, even though the game has been out longer, but I think I've spent a considerable longer amount of time playing Mario Kart 8 than I have Smash Brothers, mostly because I can play Mario Kart 8 with my wife. So Mario Kart 8 was awesome, but then I thought about Shovel Knight, and Shovel Knight was also amazing, and it reminded me a lot of the games of yore that I love so very dearly, and it was a new experience, and it was insanely fun and remarkably well crafted. But when I think about the game that I spent the most time on, the game that would not let me go until I mastered every single conceivable facet of it by perfecting every single level, my game of the year is NES Remix 2.
That's
surprising.
okay, just dropping bombs and then dropping the mic.
NES Remix 2, I started the game. First, I loved NES Remix 1. I adored the crap out of that game. But Remix 2 just kind of took it one little step further and gave you a few extra little visual pieces of excitement to just really get you through. In fact, the music for the break from not last week's episode, but the week before, that kind of nifty Christmassy Super Mario Brothers music was from NES Remix 2. It was from a remix stage of Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, where everything was snowy and delightful, and so you just had to make it through to the end of the stage, except although ground is made out of ice instead of Super Mario Brothers ground, whatever the heck that stuff is, and all the Goombas and Koopa Troopas had snow on them and stuff. It was a remarkably well put together package. It incorporated like games that I thought the first one really overlooked. Like, this time it had Metroid, it had Punch Out, it had Kid Icarus, Super Mario 3, and it made me want to keep doing it. It made me want to keep getting a perfect score on every single level. Like, the first one I played through, and I was like, as long as I can get up to 3 stars, that's good enough. But there's, like, a way to get one past 3 stars is the shiny stars. And I didn't really bother with that in the first one. I just wanted to, get 3 stars, which is good enough, and move on. The second game, I would not stop until I got the shiny stars on all of them. And in fact, after I finished doing it in the second game, I went back and did it the first game because I liked it that much. NES Remix 2 is my clear game of the year if I really think about it. I do think Smash Brothers is a better game overall because there are facets of NES Remix 2 that I wasn't completely in love with, but at the same time, I spent so much time on it, and I don't look back on it with any regret the amount of time I spent on it, and I love it to death. And I will never finish Smash Brothers to the completionist level as I did NES Remix 2, just because some of the things in Smash Brothers are just completely psychotic. But NES Remix 2 is my game of the year. I love it to death.
And worth the $15?
I don't even remember how much it cost.
It's 15, and that's the only thing that's holding me back from it, is that I would like to play both of them, but I don't think I can drop $30 on both.
Well, I mean, if that's not a good enough endorsement that I don't even remember how much it cost, like, I didn't care how much it cost. I mean, the first one sold me on it. I think I remember feeling the same way. Like, for me, obviously, $15 was worth it because, I mean, I'm me. I'm so invested in those specific Nintendo titles. It's rapid fire. It's really great pick up and play arcade style stuff, and it just breathes a different kind of life into these games. Like, it's almost like a game based on the achievement system. Like, it's just like they added an achievement system to it, and instead of making them just little achievements you get, those are the purpose of the game. Like,
right.
A stage in Metroid is beat Ridley, and all you do is beat Ridley. And as soon as you're done, you're done. Like, that's the end of that stage, and then you move on to the next one. Like, walk to the left and get the morph ball. Go for it. And, like, those little small individual things are really clever, and then they kind of teach you how to play those games. Like, I think it was the first one, actually, that taught me how to play Clu Clu Land, which I never really got before. By the time I was done playing the Clu Clu Land levels, I actually understood what they were going for with that game and how it could be a really good game. I don't think it necessarily is, but it has the potential to be. Like, if they ever went back and really tried to do Clu Clu Land, they would first have to rename it. But
yeah.
There's a lot of potential in that kind of a game, and I see what they were going for with it. And there was, I started to really have fun with it, and thought, well, maybe I would actually play this game. I would like to try to master this. That would be pretty interesting. Conversely, it reaffirmed my suspicions that Ice Climber is a fucking terrible game, and I will never play it again as long as I live. Because going back and getting all the shiny stars in Ice Climber was one of the most infuriating things I've ever been through in my life. Mm-hmm. Because fuck that game. It's a game about jumping where you can't jump. It's just God, it's so wrong on every level. It's just, and what a great world. I love everything about the character designs, the fucking weird polar bear with the sunglasses and the swimming trunks, and it's so cool. You're collecting eggplants on top of a mountain, and these cute little Eskimo dudes, but you can't fucking jump in the game about jumping. It's all you do is jump, and you can't fucking jump. Fuck Ice Climber. Fuck it so hard. But, well, I mean, I would say NES Remix 2 might be worth your money. $15 is a lot to spend on it. But I mean, it might go on sale at some point. You could wait until you can find like the NES Remix 1 and 2 package on disc. That might be able to drop down in price sooner. But I mean, for me, I easily got my money's worth out of it. And I know it's a lot to spend, but there's a decent chunk of content there, and some of the remix levels are so bizarrely fun. Like, there is something really, really fun about rolling around in the Super Mario Bros. Underground level as Samus dropping bombs, which of course you could do on, Super Mario Crossover, but that'll never get released on a console. I don't know why this just had that extra little twinge of excitement for me. I guess just because it wasn't a fan project. Nintendo did this. Nintendo said, you know what? Screw it. Let's just do silly-ass things with our old games. Let's make people play fucking golf for NES, but we're going to do it in the rain. Like, there's just weird little things in there, and I thought it was a really entertaining package, and especially the second one really, really hit home with me, and I loved it. I loved it to death. I really did.
All right.
Okay, then. We'll move on. Dean, what was your game of the year?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. It was Five Nights at Freddy's. That game was scary as fuck. That game gave me nightmares. No game has made me had a complete 180 about animatronics than that game. That game has given me nightmares. And I don't care if people say it's shallow because it was just jump scares, so fucking be it. I've never seen a game that can be so viscerally scary without doing very much at all. I mean, most of the graphics were just straight static, a lot of the screens, it was all the
all
effect.
of the graphics are static.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, I by static, I don't mean actual static. I mean nothing's really moving. There's
no, all of the graphics are static. They don't ever actually move. It's just like a plate switch.
Exactly. So that's the thing. The designer of the game, who for the life of me I can't remember, but he did so much with so little, and that's what I appreciate about the game. Yes, it was strictly jump scares, and after playing it for maybe a half hour, you get over them. But that initial first 30 minutes to an hour are fucking terrifying. Like, I didn't want to play anymore. I had to put it down. I just said nope. Can't do it. Didn't look at Chuck E. Cheese the same way ever again. And then the thing on top of it that was interesting is that people said it didn't have much of a story. That's actually false. It does have a bit of the story, and what they started doing in the first one is they left a trail of breadcrumbs for you to sort of formulate your own theories. So there's this huge community now that just sort of theory crafted their own story to it. Then the second game came out, which isn't the one that I'm actually having for my game of the year or whatever. But the second one came out and started solidifying more of the story, and it's this incredibly creepy background about. I mean, long story short, what it was is there were 3 different stores. What do you call these things? Centers. What would you call a Chuck E. Cheese? 3 different Chuck E. Cheese chains, I guess. Yeah, franchises. Thank you. That these incidents inside the Chuck E. Cheese or Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, I think that's what it's called in the game, happened at. What it was is there was an actual person there who was hurting children, murdering them, assaulting them or whatever, and it got to the point where what's happening is the ghosts of the children are inhabiting the animatronics, and that's what's doing it, or that's the theory behind it. But the game starts alluding to that in the second one with special cutscenes and everything, and it's really something else. I mean, just the little bit of he gave you enough to keep wanting more, and that's what he did in the first one. He did it again in the second one, and now there's going to be a third one just because it's not even the gameplay anymore that people want. They want to know what actually happened to, this chain. There's a story that needs to be concluded. So while it started with, a scary sort of theme and jump scares, it turned out to be a much more in-depth game than I would have ever imagined, than I think most people ever would have imagined. And that's why it is my top game for 2014, Five Nights at Freddy's. If you want to shit your pants for the first 30 minutes, that is definitely the game to play.
Well, I'm speechless. I think you put more thought into that than the guy that made it.
I probably did, and I have no doubt in my mind that most people will sit back and think about that for a second. So yeah, I mean, if anyone ever wants to play, it's $5 on Steam, and I think it's well worth $5. Actually, it might be $10 on Steam, but even at that price, it's still worth $10. I would gladly pay $10 for that game. There's so much to get out of it in the end. Like if you're actually in it to sort of follow what people are, or what conclusions people are drawing for the game, it's a sort of rewarding experience, I guess, because like I said, the game by itself, just playing it through, doesn't really offer much. But if you kind of want to draw your own conclusions and jump in with this user base, there's a lot to get out of it, and it's actually really cool. I believe there is a YouTube channel called Game Theory where they have 2 theories, one for Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and one for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I would recommend watching both of them if you're at all interested in what happened in this chain of pizza places. It's actually really interesting, and I'll tell you what, I'd never want to go into a Chuck E. Cheese ever again. Ever.
Well, then they're doing a good public service, because that place should be avoided like the plague. Mostly because it contains the plague.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever taken the kids there.
We have
and
never
not
gone to Chuck E. Cheese's and not
sick.
gotten the plague afterwards. Every single time.
It is basically a giant petri dish of filth and
so
terrible
awful.
video games.
And they don't even have like ball pits and stuff like that anymore, and they still manage to be just the most filthy, disgusting place you can possibly go.
I don't know, the one we used to go to in Corpus had Hydro Thunder, and that game is badass.
Alright, I'll give you that. Fucking
All right.
A, Hydro Thunder. Alright. Okay, well, thank you, Dean, for that. Sounds bloody terrifying.
Or
And
that.
I promise you I will never play this game, because I have no interest in being terrified out of my goddamn mind.
Yeah, you'll
So-
want to...
Sounds terrifying.
It's a pretty interesting cross-section that we have here. We have a sports game, a scary game, a remix crazy, 2-minute game, and then a 3-year-old game as our games of the year.
My game's the best.
I'm happy. I'm happy to see that all of us, based on our journalistic integrity, none of us picked Destiny, or I'm glad.
Any of the actual contenders for Game of the
Well,
Year.
no, I'm glad.
Fuck that. Those
I'm
are
glad
Me Too
neither of
games.
you said Smash Brothers, because of course Smash Brothers is good. It's fucking Smash Brothers.
Yeah, it's great.
That's not
but-
interesting.
Yeah,
That's
NES
not
Remix
interesting to
surprised
listen
me.
to. Yeah,
Smash Brothers was as good as I expected it to be, and it blew
because
me
of course
away.
it was.
But
You
NES
know?
Remix 2 was freaking awesome.
Yeah, I can guarantee you, at the end of the year next year, what's everybody's top game going to be? Fucking Legend of Zelda. Doesn't matter what it is, that's going to be everybody's top game.
You mean it's not going to be Gary Busey's PGA Tour 2016?
That's going to be mine. But,
Legend of Zelda scares me right now. I mean, it always scares me, but this one in particular is scaring me. Plus, it's got Star Fox and Splatoon to go up against as far as just what I know about.
Oh, no, sure. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter what else comes out next year. That's going to be big game journalism and whatnot. That's
Yeah,
going to be
true.
the game of the year. Guaranteed.
Seriously, I spend portions of my day every day just being excited that Splatoon is gonna happen. I just sit around and go, Yes.
Have you seen the bad guys in that
Yes.
game?
Yeah.
Like
So
the octopus people? I love it.
awesome.
It's squids versus octopi. It's fantastic.
Well, you know how I feel about arthropod based games.
You are a fan.
I am an
I do.
aficionado. I'm so excited.
There
for
is
this
audio
game.
evidence.
I can't.
As to the fact.
It's reaching a level that it's almost not even possible at this point to live up to my expectations. Like I vibrate with excitement for Splatoon.
Oh god.
You know what? I'm changing my answer. Splatoon is my game of the year.
It didn't even come out yet. Stop.
Well, she could pick a game that's 3 years old. She could pick a game that's from the future, right?
From in the future. Hey, it's 2015. It's all about the future.
All right then. I guess quick 5 seconds round the room. Completely unprovoked. What's the game you're looking forward to most of 2015? Tiff, Splatoon, got it. Dan, what's your most looked forward to game?
New Metal Gear Solid.
All right. Me, Legend of Zelda. Surprising absolutely
Yeah.
nobody.
Nope.
Dean.
Overwatch. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't know what
Just
that
look it up, bitches.
All right. Well, I will.
Is that the new Blizzard thing?
Yes, it is.
Nerd.
Oh god. Well, with that, we're gonna call it a night. This was our first show of 2015, and I'm damn proud of it. We've been saying it for a couple of weeks that we've got big things on the horizon, and we absolutely do. You'll hear a lot more about it coming soon, but there's going to be some major revamps to the website coming February 1st. So keep your eyes and ears peeled to the internets, and there's going to be some super fun, exciting things on the way. In the meantime, Dean, give us the rundown.
Well, if you guys like everything that you're hearing right now and want to hear more from us, be sure to check out the show notes below for links to our website and all our social media. Again, that's all in the show notes right below, and it'll also include links to all the games we talked about. So, you should go ahead and check that out once you're done listening to the episode.
Fantastic, as usual. So we've started off 2015 with a bang. We're feeling pretty good. We're fit and happy, or I don't know. Dean's fit and happy. I think the rest of us are unfit.
The rest of us has cookies and cream ice cream.
I'm so jealous. I got
The Ben and
cookie dough
Jerry's
in the
milk
freezer.
and cookies.
Oh my
that's
god. That is some tasty stuff. All right, well, now that we've all been thinking about eating mashed potatoes and ice cream, we're going to call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next week for more trivia. Dean, give us the rundown.
Yellow swag 420 GG blaze it. No? Other rundown? Okay.
Nope.
hang on,
Yes,
hang
the
on.
rundown that doesn't make me want to throw up.
Swing and a miss.